this is the portion that we're going to be restoring the vintage Art Deco Hayward Wakefield theater seat. And I just wanted to mention we have all our new equipment now moving into our website and our online classes. We're testing out the new equipment, so hopefully you guys are going to like it. So the first thing we're going to do is the back. I'm going to lift up, the back was in better shape than the seat. So hopefully we can use a lot of the components. If you've seen the other videos, you know that I try to use as much as I can of the old components. I kind of like that. If we have to replace or repair, we do. And I have no idea what I'm going to find in here. So let's lift the cotton and take a look at this. So I'll lift the cotton back. I like the fact it's got some beautiful horsehair in there. So we're going to try to reuse this, but it's a Marshall unit that's a little collapsed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this around. I'm going to just take this off completely. Okay? I'm going to turn this around and show you that these little springs, it's called the Marshall unit, and they're in really good shape. They don't look it, but they are in good shape. They've pulled away a little bit on the wire edge. I'm going to repair this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to elect to on this one, I'm going to repair this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this down, and I'm going to staple this, and then we're going to fix the edge here, and I'll show you how to do that. And then we're going to put a new piece of burlap on that. But I want to show you something cool that they've done. I just noticed. If you look at this, this is the top. They have this wire edge that goes around here, which is in extremely good shape, even though it doesn't look it, but we're going to fix it. It actually starts down here, and then it kind of slopes up into the back. I think that's a really cool thing, so we want to try to keep that. All of the tacks that are holding it are in good shape. Some of the threading has pulled away, and the burlap's gotten old. But what we're going to do, instead of taking the burlap off, because they've got a nice hand sewing thread around here, and up at the top, they've got an extra little piece of burlap for protection along that, and it's done a really fine job. It's the bottom that's pulled away. So I'm just going to pull that down. I'm going to staple. And I'm going to staple that, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a piece of, this is a little trick. We're going to put a piece of cardboard tack tape in here just to hold this in place while we get our new burlap on. It's really important to keep the integrity of these pieces, the shape of these pieces. The client really would appreciate that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean this up a little bit. There's some leftover tacks down here that I'm just going to clean up. Get those out of the way. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our burlap. Okay, that's part of the frame. Okay, so I'm happy with that. Before we do the burlap though, you see how this is pulled away? The threads have come undone. So what I'm going to do is, if you've seen my other videos, you guys know what a slip knot is. You guys know how to do a slip knot. We've slowed the process down in another video. You can look it up, slip knot. And what we're going to do is we're just going to tie this through here. Have two ends come down like this, and we're going to do a slip knot. And this is nylon tufting twine. Let's look at that. That's the best twine. They use a cotton twine. I would say that if they had nylon back then, that we wouldn't be having to do this. That's how strong nylon is. So I'm just going to do each one that's come apart there. I'm going to check the other ones. This shouldn't take too long. I'm just going to use our curved needle there, come all the way over the edge. A slip knot. Tie that off. Well, I love the way this has been done. I mean, can you imagine? They probably had 5,000 of these seats that they did the same way. They had it engineered really well. You can imagine that they probably had 100 prototypes when they were doing this, you know, perfecting this, and stood the test of time. It's almost 100 years old, really, when you think about it. We're doing our little repairs that will make it go on and on from there. As long as the repairs are done correctly and the right material, a little bit better material. See, there's one more left here, and I'm just going to look in here to see. I think that's it. Back has been double stitched, so that held up a lot better. And we'll take a look at the other side. There's another final slip knot. And the slip knot stays a slip knot until you tie the ends like that. Okay, so don't forget to tie the ends. So I'm going to bring it around here. See what we get going here. Yeah, these have come undone too. So let's just. I like the history of the furniture, so sometimes I like to keep, I don't think on the seat that I'm going to be able to keep the burlap. As a matter of fact, I know I can't. Looking at it, glancing ahead of over here and looking at it, I don't think I can, but because they're a different spring, and I'll explain that. So the Marshall unit is put on in one piece, and it's got muslin in between. It's more like a mattress spring for the back, so they use more like a mattress spring on the back, and on the seat a more traditional spring system, coil spring system, and I'll show you that in a minute after we restore this. This is fun, actually, restoring rather than tearing it apart and putting foam in. I mean, that's the alternative. Tearing this apart, it's actually easier for me. It would be easier for me to tear this apart and slap a piece of foam in there. But then I don't get the beveled, I don't get this slope edge coming up. I get one sheet of foam, and I don't get the curve with the piece of foam that I like with this Marshall unit. So it's really, important to keep as much of the original, and I know my client will appreciate that. We've talked about that. He's an antique dealer, so he likes that idea. And so don't I. We're on the same page. I very rarely have somebody say, I don't like any of the old components. Take them all out and put foam in there. Put polyurethane, that great oil-based product, instead of cotton springs and jute, webbing and jute twine. Nobody says that. Get one more in here. And then what I'm going to do is freshen that burlap up a little bit by putting a new piece on. Okay, so we get this. Okay, so now I'm just going to take my burlap, and I'm going to start from the bottom. I'm just going to show you that. I'm going to fold it over. Remember, folding over is better than folding under. Technically, it's stronger this way. Okay. So we cut our burlap 3 inches oversized. I cut this a little bit more, but I'm going to cut it down just to show you. That's probably the overhang that you want. Okay. Now, when you stretch it, I'm going to stretch this a little bit. Okay, now you notice, see how they did it. So the tradition of upholstery, right? Now, this was done nearly 100 years ago, and look what they did. They pulled it down first, and then they folded it over. And look at these tacks. Most of the tacks are still in place. If they had gone the other way, I guarantee you they all would have been, the burlap would have gone through all those tacks. Okay, so this is a two-step process here, though. That's it. You can't fold and staple at the same time. You have to stretch and staple, stretch and staple. I'm not over tightening this, not like in some other areas that I've shown you in some other videos. This is just a light stretch. It's going to get up like this. You're going to tack it when you fold it up like this. Now on one side here, you can fold it like so and staple it. Notice how I'm not on this beautiful edge here. You want to try to keep that edge clean. Okay, and then I'm gonna meet over here. There you go. Now on the other side is your stretch side, or your two part, right? You're stapling it with the stretch, and then you're folding it over. Look, see that? How nice that is. I'm just gonna help myself here by trimming this down just a little bit, because I'm gonna have to trim all the way around. I was generous with my burlap. Okay, fold this over. I can't believe how nice this is. Just those little touch-ups, really, for something that old. I like to keep that the work that survived, even the tacks. I like to keep them, Why not? Ran out of staples, so we quickly reload. Staple, and we're going to come over here. Okay, these staples aren't going in so hot. Let's just see why. Let's just take our time over here and see. Yeah, they're going in good. Just going a little too fast for this. Make sure that, see what I'm doing? Make sure that there's no overhang, very little overhang. You want to try to keep this clean. That's what, remember this is a fitted back. It fits in. So you want to make sure you don't have too much bulk. Okay, I'm going to trim this up. Okay, almost there. I'm going to trim this piece here. Trim up my little twines on the ends and just take a feel. This feels probably like it was originally, and it's really wonderful. So now I'm going to take the old piece to make sure I know what the bottom was. So I just want to show you too. See how up at the top they have an extra. I'm going to reuse this because this is almost like a headrest right up here. So it's really a nice touch. It goes in here like so. And I'm pretty much done on the restoration on that. We're going to add some cotton. I may peel off the top layer. I may not, because it is a little dirty. Let's just see. Let's just peel off that top layer. And we're going to put a brand new piece of AAA cotton in there for our modern day movie goers. Probably be a home theater movie. Home theater probably set up that my customer has. Let's see. What I'm doing here is I'm just making sure that it's even on there, and I like how it feels. And then our next thing is going to be the cotton, and then the mohair over that. So I'm just going to put this aside for now. We're going to go to our seat. Now our seat's going to be a little bit more work. Usually it always is, and why is that? Because it's getting the full weight of the person, of the human form on it, so it's going to take more abuse, okay? But I still think for how old it is and how many people have sat in this, how many movies have been watched, how many hours of seating, I think it's really extraordinary, in extraordinarily good shape, believe it or not. But what we're going to do is, first of all, I want to note this is the front of the seat. This is a beautiful felt, hand-stitched onto the wire edge. I'm going to try to at least keep that, but I think I have to cut around it. All this burlap definitely has to be replaced, and we have to do some spring tightening inside here, and I'll show you how to do that. Let's just go along and trim this old piece out right here first. And there's some original hand stitching in this that I really love. See all this hand stitching? I'm not going to take that off just yet. Okay, I'm just gonna go all along here. Take all this off. It's done its job. Okay, now I'm going to take a peek inside to see what's going on here. Now this is truly remarkable because this is in such good shape. There is a little something in here I just want to pull out. I doubt that I'm going to find, we wouldn't include this in our Treasures of Upholstery episode because I wouldn't expect to find anything in a closed seat, but there is something in here. I don't know what it is. Oh, it's paper of some sort, cardboard of some sort. I don't know where it came from, why it's in there. But there's nothing written on it. That's weird. I just don't know what that is, where it came from. But anyhow, what else is going on in there is just this is a drop-in unit, they call it, and it's all a wire, and it's all held together with these little chains in the front. And I'm going to have to take some of that off. Oh, I just think I realized what that cardboard was. I'll show you in a minute. But the bottom is in perfect shape. Everything's intact. It's attached to a wooden base, and these little holes, they're air pockets for when somebody sits down, the air comes this way. Very, very smart. I mean, it's probably the reason why they lasted so long is because the air had somewhere to escape. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, didn't think there was so much to upholstery, I bet, in the engineering of it. But anyhow, I'm not going to cut the twine. I love the twine here. I love this hand stitching. And it acts as, for us, it's going to act like an extra barrier because we're going to put new burlap on this. I like that, and I especially like the front edge. So we're going to try to repair around this all. Now that cardboard, probably the only thing that they must have covered these with cardboard, the wire edge, the springs. It's probably the only thing I would say that I didn't like, that they probably didn't need to do that with the burlap. They had the burlap, they really didn't need to do that. But I'm going to have to pick this out, okay? I don't like it. Look at cardboard doesn't last. Cardboard shouldn't be used anywhere in upholstery, by the way, folks. I never use it anywhere. They do use it in modern upholstering for outsides mainly, and some people do for the insides, which is bad. Problem with cardboard, once you hit it and it bends, it stays bent. It doesn't go anywhere. Okay, we're just gonna clean that out a little bit. It's remarkable good shape. What's happened though, the only thing that's happened is these have sagged a little bit. I'm going to show you an easy way of fixing that. Okay, we're going to turn to our jute hand tying twine, and we're going to cut this. I'm going to cut off, in the beginning, I'm going to cut about a 14 or 15 inch section. And then what I'm going to do, now the slip knot technique, we're going to slip knot from here to here. I'm going to try to move this so you can see it. Okay, so we're going to be switching to our ruby twine. It's a spring twine. We're not going to be using tufting twine for this. We need a sturdier twine for the seat. It'll last a lot longer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten these chains up a little bit by just putting 4 of these right across here with the slip knot, and that should do it. It cleaned up the bottom of the seat. Let's just try one for now. I'll do our slip knot. Like I said again, you can look at our other video we have a segment on there about slip knotting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tighten this. Oh, that worked out really good. That worked out really good. I'm going to just put a knot in that. And I'm going to do a couple of extra wraparounds here just to make sure that it holds. I love this. This twine will last as long as the chains that they originally used. Look what I did. I tightened up this whole area here, and I'm going to tighten up these ones too. So let's do the rest. I'm really happy with the way that came out. So that's a good quick repair. I'm keeping the original chains. I can't reuse them. I can't tighten the chains. So I'm afraid if I tighten them, they'll break. But the twine is a good alternative. Excellent alternative. I mean, we've taken things apart with the twine on them that is older than this seat. So let's do another one here. I love this keep all that work that our upholstery friend from long ago did. So people will get a sense if they do it again, they'll see the effort was made to restore these rather than to take them all apart and start new with dreaded polyurethane. So, tie that, we'll do one more here, and that's nice and tight. I'm just going to cut these ends down a little bit. Okay, I'm going to draw this. This is the front. So I have my burlap. When you measure burlap at home, you measure from one side here all the way to the top and add 3 inches. Some people like 4 inches. It gives them a little bit more flexibility. I've overcut this, so I'm going to trim it while it's on there, but I do want to show you on the back piece what we're going to do. This is the back. You're going to fold it up and stay about every inch. Going to turn it around. I don't think many of you people out there have old Art Deco theater seats, but you can use a lot of what I did on other pieces, of course. So This is the front, so I'm going to do is I'm going to tug this down, and I'm going to staple it. I'm not folding it, right? I'm tugging it down, and I'm not torquing this up. There's the wire edge seats don't need to be torqued up that much. And so on one side, doesn't matter which side, you can fold it and staple it. Okay, go to the other side, and pull it down, and staple. And then you can fold it up and start stapling it all around. You do your corners like so. You can come to the corner like that, and then fold it up like so. Make sure though you get your burlap off this edge. You don't want it overhanging. Again, you don't want it overhanging. Take your corner. Piece of metal in there, that's why the staples aren't going in. Careful, metal. Staples will not go through metal. Okay. Satisfied with that. Now what we're going to do is it feels nice, really feels nice on the top, nice and smooth. Just going to cut this back a little bit. Not going to get in the way of our next thing. So you look at the old filling, evaluate that next. Okay, so this is ready for the filling to go on. Let's just take a look at the, oh boy, we had a mess with that old filling. If you remember the seat was opened, so it got really dirty and used. So let's just see what we got here. I know right away that I cannot use the top, so I'm going to take the top off. That gets thrown away. And now we're going into another layer that has a combination of horsehair and hay. But it feels really good. There's not much hay, so I think I'm going to try to see what this feels like. Putting this back over here. And that's got a pretty good feel to it, except there's a little caving in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this off. I'm going to add, because we took off, a good portion of cotton. They represented not just the top layer, but probably a few layers, I'd say 2 or 3. So I'm going to take my rubberized horsehair, and I'm going to go over the whole unit on this. This rubberized horsehair makes a great platform. It's a good base to go over springs. Okay, and I'm going to just take it and just kind of grab a little bit, like a 1/2 inch of the bottom there, and try to staple that inside. I don't want this overhanging. Okay, just like that. Over to the side. And I have to cut this beforehand. You have to be careful when you do this because you can overcut it. You don't want to overcut it. So I'm trying to cut it to like halfway on this rail here so that when I put it in, let's just see. For you at home, it might be better to take a piece of chalk, right? You can never pre-cut this. Never pre-cut rubberized horsehair. It never works. But you can take a piece of chalk and chalk it rather than freehanding it like I just did. That's really good base. So I'm going to just come along here. Important to keep that edge clean, this edge. And our corners should just, because they're round, they should really just kind of float in there nicely. A little bit of a pleat there, but that's okay. As long as we're clean here, okay? Okay, and if you do too much bulk, you can cut it a little bit, so. down nicely. And we're almost done. Switch scissors. It's tough stuff to cut, no doubt about it, but it makes a really good finish. And I overcut that. On this stuff here, better to overcut, and then go back and make another adjustment. So for you guys at home, that might be a good strategy too. Pleat there like the other side, which is fine. I'm just gonna add a little bit there. I'm extremely happy with the way this looks, and more importantly, the way this feels. Now I'm going to take that piece and put it on here. See how that fits. Well, I like that. So there we are. We're finished with the restoration using a lot of the original materials that we use in upholstery and preserving most of what they had in the original 1930 upholstery. And I really, the only thing you can't see over the television is, or YouTube, is how this feels. And trust me, it feels great. So what we're going to do, the next step is, it's going to be upholstering, and we're going to add some cotton, AAA cotton on both the seat and the back, and then put our mohair on. So that's the next step. See you then.